I see. Yeah, I just reposted.
All right, mine cut out. Are we live right now?
Yes, we are.
Think we're live.
Yes, sir.
As soon as I hit the live button, it just boots me out. Great. I love Riverside. This is a Riverside endorsement. Uh, anyways, welcome everyone to this week's edition of the live stream. Despite our technical difficulties, we have an amazing guest today, Aaron, who is AI.now and the proud new of AgenticAI.com. Aaron, how we doing, man?
Doing well. It's good to meet you guys and put a face to the name, and happy to do this. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, hell yeah. Aaron's pseudo semi-docs, so hence the sunglasses and the AI.now pseudonym that we see on Twitter all the time. But you've been really making your rounds this week. Really made a splash for yourself. So you enjoying the newfound fame?
I'm not particularly one to look for fame. I'm just a guy who likes domains, and I think there's plenty of other people out there that love domains just as much as I do. Yeah, I mean, quite to be honest, I think the Agentic AI was a good purchase at a good value, good price point. I guess the fame is secondary, not necessarily what I was looking for, but yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, great. We'll get into all that. And as usual, we have Ishmaeli here for a precious 15 minutes at least before he's off to wheel and deal on another outbounding effort. So I hear.
Yeah, trying to chase that whale money. Now, Aaron, man, glad to have you on. I've been talking to Aaron behind the scenes before this purchase, and I saw the momentum building up, and I think even the name selection is getting better. So yeah, congratulations on what I think is like acquiring a killer asset in agentic AI. And and just everything that you've been picking up. Like a lot of people don't know, but you've been buying. I mean, you bought some names from me last month. Like we did some good business. Thank you. But you've been buying a lot of AI domain related names, like AI SLDs. You want to talk about that strategy as well?
Um, I mean, I just like AI names in general. AI is obviously a growing and booming thing. If you check the search results on Glimpse, there's millions of searches for just the keyword AI every month.
Right.
So, and it's only going to go up, and the search traffic for AI and the derivatives are only going to keep going up, in my opinion. AI is here to stay, in my opinion, and I think there's opportunities for domain investors in the AI space. That's just my opinion, though.
So some of these AI SLDs you want to list them? I know you have AI.cv, AI.consultant, AI.baby. Am I mistaken? I know you
Yeah,
have I know you have
yeah.
some weird ones like AI.gripe. Like what are some of the names you have, and what's the rationale behind them? And which one is your
Yeah.
favorite?
Oh, AI now is my favorite. I mean, I think it's catchy. It's good tagline. It's good to say AI.now. AI.baby is quite interesting because the AI baby videos did go viral the last couple of weeks, and so I didn't have any interest in our offers on it. But I think with the way AI is going, I could see that one being interesting. I think my favorite one though is AI.day. Only because there's a proposal in the UN for an International World AI Day. Hasn't been approved yet, but there is a proposal. So I think that one, I think that one is a good long-term strategy bet, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with such
Okay.
a crisp and short SLD, you can afford to be a little loose on the TLDs and spray and pray a little bit. So yeah, all those seem totally relevant. I mean, with AI.baby, I'm sure you had a lot of pressure to like capitalize on that, trend in social media. Did you think about developing that one, or like reaching out to? Did you reach out to any of these? I'm sure there was like an AI baby video generator wrapper that someone made that was blowing up during that
Probably.
time. Like, did you outbound to those folks and try to capitalize on the zeitgeist?
Yeah, actually, there was a few posts on X that went viral, and I did make a comment under them, but not really any traction or interest. But yeah, I tried doing some outbounding on X for AI.baby. I don't know. Maybe the trend will come back. Maybe it will be a lasting trend. I don't know, but it did go viral for a couple weeks. But yeah, I did some outbounding a little bit on that one. I just kind of thought it was a funny name, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe high schoolers will, like, high school girls will get, or like, I don't know, elementary school girls will play with like AI dolls, and instead of Tamagotchis, they'll have like little AI babies that they take care of. I could totally see that working.
Hey, anything's possible in my opinion.
So
Yeah.
I have a question. When you acquire these names, I know that, in dealing with you, you're very, very sensitive to the renewals. Like sometimes you buy the name and pay for the renewal for up to 10 years ahead. I know you did that with AI Consultant. And then where I'm a little bit confused about your approach is a name like AI.now. You've been very transparent. You said you acquire that as a hand registration, and the renewal is 16 grand. Do you consider that like strategic, or something that maybe was something you wouldn't have done if knowing what you know now? Or is it something that you're just like, it is what it is, and I'm going to try to make lemonades out of this lemon?
That's a valid question because the renewal is expensive. And, when I first
I mean,
acquired that
no,
name,
for you got the dollars, but regardless, I mean, there's also something called
no,
opportunity cost.
no, you're totally right. Well, that's one of the things that I think that's one of the things I didn't think about when acquiring AI.now was the long-term maintenance on it.
Right.
I was like, for a year, I was like, okay, but the long-term maintenance on it, it may not be worth it. But it is kind of my brand at the moment. So I am kind of, attached to the name as a brand identity. But, brands pivot all the time and they rebrand. And, I got AI.si for super intelligence. So
That was another one.
I
Yeah.
I could rebrand to AISI. I got a few AI names I could rebrand to, but I think people generally associate me with AI.now. And I just think AI now, AI is evolving and changing every day, every week.
Correct.
There's a new wrapper, there's a new model, there's a new development. So I think it is fits the AI thesis at the moment pretty well because AI now is, it's changing, constantly changing.
I think AI.now is a great name if you put it to work, if you put it to use, if you view yourself as an end user. The word brand identity scares me because I was one of those stupid people that had an opportunity to sell pictures of JPEGs of monkeys for $500,000. And I was listening to people saying, it's my online identity. And I was, I guess it's my online identity too. So that is a scary thing to get emotionally connected or attached to a digital asset. Just words of advice. Just don't get emotionally connected to it, in my opinion. But I think if you turn AI now, like I suggested and I see you're implementing, into some sort of like newsletter that updates people, then the $16,000 renewal turns out to be about $1,000 something a month, and that becomes a absorbable, sustainable cost of doing business. If it makes you 16 grand a year, right, in profit, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? That's just what the cost of acquiring such a grail name will be, right? But I think if I saw a newsletter that said AI.now, stay updated on AI trends and developments, I would easily subscribe to that. And I'm sure Brady will too.
Yeah, it's a solid brand name. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think that, kind of in relation to domains, that's why I've, been pivoting to .com lately. Cause, like there is another .com I acquired from Huge Domains was AItreatment.com. And I was doing some search analysis on the keyword AI treatment, and AI medical stuff is going to become a big thing in the coming years. Just looking at trends, and there was something on X that went viral about like a MRI scan or like some certain type of pathology scan or whatever you want to call it. So I think AI diagnostics and AI treatment, I think that's on the horizon. just based off of the trends that I'm observing. So I did pick up AI treatment from huge domains, and that's why I kind of been pivoting to .com, is because the renewal is approximately $10 a year, so you can get a good name, strong name. The upfront cost might be considerable, but the renewal long-term maintenance is 10 years. And so I think while all these GTLDs are great and provide flexibility and all that, the renewal on .com, and it's also the number one recognized TLD. So yeah, I mean, I think that's why I've been pivoting to .com a little bit as well.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of SIs?
SLDs?
Yeah.
I have a few. Yeah, it's more of a hedge against super intelligence, if that takes off as a term. I only got those recently though.
Yeah. The .SIs always feel very forced to me. AI means the same thing to most people, especially consumers, who's everyone's end market. And so that feels like very forced from domainers that are like trying to meme something into existence. Another one that I think fits that category is DeFi, like DeFi AI, which is also not something I hear in any like crypto circles hardly at all. But you do see it like on the hype train from various domainers on Twitter.
Yeah, DeFi, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, had a little run for a couple of months, or maybe a month in the memes, in the meme coin phase. There were some narratives around that, but it was never really anything that had a solid footing. I think there are other trends.
Yeah, you wonder how much of like the internet zeitgeist has been shaped by like domainers trying to
forcing
work for their bags,
yeah,
and just creating psyops to implant various terms into the global internet psyche. I wouldn't be surprised if some things have come out of that. What about I mean, in that vein, and if I'm breaking up, let me know. But in that vein, like, what about like Gen Z memes? I feel like these are so mercurial, and we see like in meme coin trading, like a lot of Gen Z terms just take off like wildfire, whether it's like glazing or what else do these guys say?
All these
like simping or whatever. Like a lot of these terms like end up as meme coins.
What's funny about that?
Do you have Gen Z intel sources that you guys you have your son Ish, so
yeah,
you're probably pretty plugged in.
Yeah, so this guy, I know someone was sold Skibidi.com for $100,000, and it's funny. I mean, it's an open story. The guy talked about it at Domain Expo. It was Ken Lin, the founder of .db. And so, I do a lot of advising for a lot of crypto projects. And this guy was like, I just bought a $100,000 domain. So out of curiosity, I was like, what name did you pick up? And he goes, I bought Skibidi.com. And I was like, oh shit, I know who owned that name. And it's funny, he bought that name because he had no idea what it meant, but he purchased that name because he saw the data, on an incline, like in terms of like the search volume, and placed a bet on it. And some
didn't even know what it meant when he bought it.
Who knows what it means? What does Skibidi mean? I have no idea.
It's true. I don't even know what it means really.
But this guy paid $100,000.
I know the meme.
Yeah, he paid $100,000 for it on a 60-month LTO. So I guess that theory works.
I have no idea what it means. Don't know. I don't even want to. I don't even want to know. Like,
Jamie, pull it up.
Skibidi. Interesting. No, but it shows you that we're basically staking bets on culture when it comes to domain, and even with the whole AI thing. AI is a big part of the modern culture right now. Like, I mean, we spend so much time, trying to understand it. Some of us use it. And everyone has a different level of participation, but it's embedded in our culture right now for sure, across different verticals. Yeah.
Yeah. Ish, any closing questions for Aaron before you head out?
No, I'm going to take off. I just wanted to pop in for a quick second. I got to get on this call. If I get off early, I'll join back in.
Yeah, well, Ish is good at closing sales quickly, so I'm sure we'll see him back in
I,
here.
I'm trying to get a sale going, man. Something is going crazy right now. So it's kind of like a drought, and I've been trying to set up a call with this guy. I'm actually speaking with the founder of Gumroad, so we'll see what happens. I sold him a name before, so wish me luck. We'll talk soon, guys. Take care. Have fun.
Nice. Good
Take
luck.
care.
All
Now
right.
it's just you and I.
And then there were two. Well, Aaron, let's go through this purchase of agenticai.com. I'm sure you've told the story a million times, but if you want to give the abridged version to our viewers, and you also mention, I think there's a few interesting things here. I saw Eddie was on the Spaces yesterday talking about how he originally registered the name, got rid of it. So if you could touch on that piece of the story, and then also your conversation with Grok that you mentioned, it would be great to hear like the whole arc of this name.
Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting to have Eddie on the X Space yesterday. I didn't know he was the original owner of this name. And actually, when he saw the name sell, he reached out to me on X, and I just, I thought it was interesting to meet the original owner of the name. In regards to the conversation with Grok, I was doing a combination of deep think and deep search. Like I was asking Grok questions like, what's the future of agentic AI? Is agentic AI going to be an everlasting term within the AI space? I was asking it more like forward thinking or forward looking questions in regards to agentic AI. I was also looking at like the annual compound growth rate or compound annual growth rate of the agentic AI market over the next 10 years. I was also looking at the search traffic and search volume of agentic AI. And I think my approach to this was, let me take all this related data I have about agentic AI and put it into Grok and see what Grok has to think about it. And so the conversation with Grok lasted maybe 2 hour and a half, somewhere in that ballpark. And I think AI search and AI deep think is very powerful if you're going to be making domain purchases like this, or maybe perhaps any keyword related domain purchase. Especially what is the future outlook for this keyword, or what is how long is it going to take for this word or keyword to be in the zeitgeist in how many years, like for the normal person, or like for people who aren't familiar with AI is what I should say. Because I was talking to like my girlfriend and a few other people, and they're like, I've never heard of agentic AI, but it gets, at least to the data I saw.
Have they heard of agents?
I did not ask them that question.
Yeah.
But
that feels like the more concise layman term.
Sure. Yeah. But I think agentic AI is encompassing of AI agents. And what I like about agentic AI is it's already an established umbrella term for anything agent related. And, NVIDIA has a blog post about it. I posted it on X a couple of times. There's multiple pieces in Forbes. Forrester rated it as one of the top emerging technologies for 2025 or 2024. So, and another thing I like about the word agentic AI is there's no, because I was looking at comparables like AIagents.com or AIagent.com, and they obviously had a high price associated with them. But with AI agent and AI agents, there's a plural and non-plural version of these. With agentic AI, it's kind of, that's the term and that's it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You mentioned lack of dilution there, which seems certainly valuable. Yeah. So when you were shopping around, like were those your top contenders? I mean, were you really set on one of these agentic names or agent names? Like what were the counterfactuals? What were the alternatives that you were looking at?
Well, I mean, I don't know if there were any alternatives, because agentic AI is the thing. It is the term. It is the definition. It is the umbrella, within or over AI agents. And so, obviously, agentic domains are. I don't want to say necessarily hot, but there has been interest within the domain space on agentic keyword domains. I actually picked up another one. I can't reveal it yet because it's in process of being transferred. The sale is, but I think it's a really strong and powerful name. I will reveal it if and when the sale goes through, or purchase goes through. I think it's a really strong, forward-thinking name, and I think for me, in relation to this agentic AI and these domains, is some people have domains they want to keep for a couple of years. Some people have domains they're looking to flip immediately. I think this is more of a long-term strategy play, in my opinion.
Sure. And as long term as things get with AI moving as rapidly as it does, I mean, the glaring question for me is when you're buying from another investor at not really a wholesale price, why do you think the other investor is letting go of the name, and what do you think your information edges over what he is seeing that's causing him to let go of the name at this price?
Well, I think people let go of names for all sorts of reasons. Maybe he wanted to price it for a quick sale, or maybe I think for a name like this, I think it was a reasonable price. um, but I think at the end of the day, it's a risk or a bet that I was willing to take at that price level. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they perceived the domain different than I perceived the domain, because there is a buyer and there's a seller, and they have different perceptions to a name. So I don't know. I mean, I can't particularly speculate on why he wanted to let go of this name.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's always so interesting, these domainer to domainer sales, because someone is giving up edge and like margin versus selling to the end user. And so the question is who. But if someone's held on to this name for a while, it's been at least a year or two, I think. Had the price moved at all since you had been watching this, or over the years? Do you know?
Well, so I think it originally sold for approximately $4,000 a couple years ago, and
That was
actually,
Eddie selling it.
yeah. So I think, and I was looking at the search volume relative to when it last sold, and the search volume was not anywhere what it is now. So I think the search volume, doesn't necessarily equate to the price, but I think it sold for that price, 4,000 or so, a couple of years ago, and the search volume was not as great as it is now. I mean, if you look at it now, it's a lot more. And I think domain investors make bets on that, bets like that all the time. I mean, back then it might have been a $4,000 name, but now it's gone up in value. That's just the way I look at things.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder. What are the comps? With agent terms or other high profile AI names. Did you have a good sense of those going into your negotiation?
So actually, I saw a screenshot from NameBio of comparable sales, and a lot of the comparable sales from what I saw looked to be in the $1,000 or less range a few years ago, or a couple years ago. And I think that was also domain investors getting those names as to do similar, as to hold them for value, appreciating value potentially. Because I saw like agenticconnect.com sold for maybe $300. I mean, whether it's a good name or not, that's not necessarily for me to say. But if you look at NameBio, people have been selling and buying agentic related names, but I think at the price levels happening a few years ago, that's people picking them up as a long-term or a couple year play.
Yeah, I see AIQ for 300 grand 2 years ago, and then some other AI ones here. I'm getting slapped with ads on NameBio. I need to just go ahead and subscribe. But yeah, there's definitely some good options there. I mean, speaking of the way in which you're using a conversation with Grok to come to these conclusions, I think there's a lot of ceiling left in terms of the interactions that registrars and other domain tools provide to aid in this kind of discovery process. Um, in fact, recently I was playing around with a custom GPT, and I'm going to share my screen and show this.
Sure.
But basically, you can create custom GPTs with I guess they call them actions, which are basically like API connections to the GPT. And so I connected. Why can't I find it? So I connected this custom GPT to Unstoppable's API, which in turn checks various registries APIs for availability and pricing information on various TLDs, and so it gives you a nice clean interface with which you can with natural language like query our API and get a bunch of availability and pricing info. So let me share that, and I can show you some of what that looks like. So for example, and you can see okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So example, you just query Halle Berry into the into the chat box. Why Halle Berry was on my mind, I can't say. But it shows you, okay, well, it's taken in the .coms, .net, .org. But you do have like these other TLDs for sale. So this is like, the exact same results that you would get from a registrar if you're searching for that. But here it can give you some even, it pluralizes it. It can, allow you to riff on the name, or like it's doing an alternate spelling of Halle here. And so it can be much more of a conversation. And you imagine, throw in a couple more API connections to NameBio or .db to get an even more comprehensive look at what TLDs are taken for a particular search term. And suddenly you have a very, comprehensive set of data that you can ground the LLM with to have like a real conversation with over these kinds of things. So let me see. Let's see what Agentic AI returns, and it's very much in beta right now. So if it shits the bed,
sure.
don't. Yeah. So all primary DNS domains for Agentic AI in the top extensions are taken. That sounds right. I would need to verify that. But then it gives some alternatives here that you could look into, and I can say yes, look up those and other quality suggestions, and then it'll basically go through and take each of these and run its own API lookups. I don't know what .TechHub is, but
okay.
And it's, so
yeah,
it came
you can
back,
do it with a hyphen.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, like found out that those are registered. And anyway, this is like very clunky at the moment since I put this together last night. But oh, are you still there? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But anyway, that's an exciting well, I mean, for us, it's very exciting, like top of funnel, provide these kinds of tools to people, and then refer them to Unstoppable. And for users, that's just a really seamless interface to be able to assemble a lot of information that they currently have siloed in disparate tools, and they have weird workflows where they're jumping from different tabs and repeating queries over and over in a bunch of different SaaS apps. So yeah, I think that's a very exciting use case. And then not only are you assembling all that data, you can have a conversation with the LLM and talk through the semantics of whatever term you're looking at, or Grok could like pull tweets and say, oh, okay, well, we're seeing agentic AI was in these hot tweets this week. And so you pull all that together, and I think that's a really, really powerful tool for being able to, do quick research and pull the trigger on these kinds of names.
Well, yeah, and I think what's interesting is, I for my conversation with Grok about agenticai.com, I was just talking to Grok like I would talk to a buddy or a friend. I'm just like asking it questions and talking it to like I would a normal person or somebody else to get advice. I even asked Grok like, hey, directly. I literally asked Grok this question. I was like, given this price level that it's currently for sale for, what is your honest opinion on the value of it now, or the price of it now compared to its future potential value in a couple years? And I was like, I think the key word there is be honest, because sometimes AIs can tailor their responses to you, or yeah. So I think the important part for me was using the keyword "be honest" with me in my conversations with Grok, and I think after my 2-hour conversation with Grok or so, I came to that conclusion to pull the trigger, and I might be wrong. But that's the thing though is. I think one thing that's important for people is to only risk what you're willing to lose. That's not NFA and do your own research, but point being is for me personally with this deal is I was willing to risk what I was willing to bet or risk what I was willing to lose. And if I'm wrong in a few years, and I'm wrong, but I think with the data I've seen and my conversation with Grok, I think I could make an educated and informed decision.
Yeah, hard to imagine that domain like losing a drastic amount of its value from where it is now, but easy to see it appreciating for sure. Yeah, what about your .now domains? Do you have a lot of those? I forget if you make a lot of noise about .nows on Twitter, or maybe I'm mixing you up with someone else.
I mean, I like .now. It's 3 characters. It's short. I think there's call to action.
Yeah.
I still have some, but to be transparent, I have auctioned off some of mine or wholesaled some of mine. Not necessarily because I'm losing interest. It's just I think what I'm going through right now is curating and re-strategizing my portfolio. And I think that's natural for some people who are early on into domain investing who realize, hey, I have these names, I don't want them anymore. Let me auction them off, get some money back, or wholesale them. So I think that's just a natural evolution of an early stage domain investor.
Yeah, everyone needs their phases of portfolio expansion and culling and trimming the fat. So absolutely part of the process. What's a theme of those domains that you're letting drop nowadays? Like, what are your biggest learnings from your earlier mistakes?
That's a good question. I think I'm still learning, if I'm being honest. I've only been into domain investing for approximately a year now, and that's peanuts compared to how long some other top people have been in it or how long other people have been in it. So, I still think I have a lot of learning to do. And that's just being honest with myself is, obviously, there are good names out there. And I think what I'm doing is looking for domains that have future potential, like upcoming trends and things, rather than domains that are relevant now. But point being is, sorry, what was the question?
What are the common themes that you see in the domains that you're dropping? So what are your learnings from your earlier mistakes?
I think one common theme is too long of domains, or just domains. When I got into this, I had some really bad hand registrations. I was going through my portfolio and they were just awful hand registrations. And I think that really shows me how far I have come, but how much farther I still have yet to go. Because I had just like these, I just I looked at these domains and I'm like, who's gonna be actually be interested in these? Like I'm not even interested in these, and if I'm not even interested in these now, there's probably not going to be somebody who's interested in them in the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Even in my 6-month journey in domaining, I still look back on some of my early hand regs and I was like, probably an enormous waste of money. But that's okay. That's part of the journey. Yeah, I think hand regging in general is just a crapshoot if you're new. It feels like it's just too easy, and because it's too easy, you know that there's probably not edge there for you, especially as a new guy. Yeah. Speaking of which, it's $5.com Friday at Unstoppable Domains. So jump on over and get up to 100.coms for $5 each every Friday. Have you tried us out?
Yes,
Aaron?
sir.
Have you used this?
Yes.
Yeah. How
Yes,
do you like
sir.
it?
$5 Fridays. I mean, I've picked up a handful is what I will say. I have picked up
Nice.
a handful that had been on my wanted list, or on some ideas from Grok as well. So yeah, no, certainly tried you folks out.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Any feedback on the platform, like things you like, things you didn't like, what things we need?
Oh, you know what? I did have one or two ideas, but I would need to look at the dashboard visually again one more time. Um, so
Yeah.
I'll message you those ideas. I'm kind of a visual person, so I need to look at the dashboard to get those ideas back. So I will
Yeah,
message you on
sure.
those.
Well, I was going to just for the viewers, I was going to walk through the dashboard really quick because we added a new thing. So just real quick, I'll share my screen and we can take a look. You can see all right?
Yep.
Yeah. I picked up so recently I picked up some .braves. These are Web3 TLDs. So they are not in DNS. They don't resolve in browsers except for Brave, which is our a browser that does resolve our Web3 domains. Brave browser launched these .brave TLDs, and they announced that they're going to ICANN auction in 2026 for new GTLDs. So I picked up a couple .braves, ATL.brave. We'll see if I got UDRP'd over that. But I figured it was worth a shot. Chop on, which is like an Atlanta Braves slogan, apparently. What Dale Murphy, some big name Braves players. What else? Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, Brave the movie .brave, Tomahawk Brave, Truist Park. Anyway, so that was interesting. We're experimenting with like publicizing these intentions of our Web3 TLDs to go to the ICANN auction. So we're in a pretty unique position for people to be able to basically participate in a pre-sale for these TLDs before they become enshrined in ICANN by buying the Web3 version now. And so that's a pretty unique proposition for people. So if that interests you guys, definitely hop on over. .brave is the only one we've announced this publicly for yet. May or may not be some in the future, can't say. But yeah, I mean, is that something, Aaron? What's your take on that? Like, are you thinking about which GTLDs are going to be interesting come next year in the application round, or is that too far ahead for you to worry about?
No, I really do think some of these Web3 TLDs are going to be on Web2 with ICANN's GTLD application round next year. Which ones though, I don't particularly know. I don't follow Web3 too closely.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people that love it, a lot of people that like it, a lot of maxis, all that stuff. It's just something I don't particularly follow closely. But I think in a general sense, though, I definitely see some Web3s becoming Web2 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, otherwise, some new things that came to Unstoppable recently. We've got a better renewals management, so you can come to this auto renewal and set like a global auto renew settings. So this is really just table stakes and nothing you wouldn't expect from any other registrar, but we're slowly but surely adding these. We also improved our push functionality, so now you can push domains to other Unstoppable users a little bit easier. So those are two new things. One other interesting feature coming down the pipe is we'll soon be able to do AI recommendations on your portfolio. So we'll look at the domains that you have with us, and we will basically do some data analysis and look at expiring and available domains and domains in our marketplace, and then suggest to you various names that are related to the ones that are already in your portfolio. And that's pretty unique. I don't think many other registrars have such a feature that really, personalizes the recommendations to that degree. So we're excited about the potential of that to really encourage people to get all their domains with us in one place, so that they can, have superior intelligence and maybe find some blind spots in their naming strategies that they wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, AI is definitely there. So no, I think that's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. I think that's largely it in terms of product updates that we've had lately. I know you've got to run in 5-ish minutes, right?
Yep. Yeah, I got to go.
Okay. Go now or in 5 minutes?
Maybe 2 more minutes, couple more minutes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know. Got to get back to the old day job. But any closing thoughts for people as you embark further on this journey? Any words of advice to help people get to where you are in your domaining path?
I think what I want to say is, no, I appreciate this. I think what I want to end on is, um, you know, I'm very blessed and fortunate, but I think there's a lot of great people out there. There's a lot of smart people out there, and I think anybody can have a positive impact or a small change in the world. So I want to leave with a message of positivity for those people who are just starting their domain journey. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn. You're going to get better. Um, and domain investing is evolving and it's changing. And I think as you grow and learn with your domain journey starting out, you're going to learn and grow as well. But I just want to say thanks for having me on. It was good talking to you and Ishmaeli, and we'll stay in contact. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, and great to get some insight from you. Congrats on the acquisition, and excited to follow along. So yeah, feel free to drop whenever. I'm just gonna do some final thoughts to close the pod. But yeah, everybody, we're in the midst of $5.com. Oh, look at that. We traded Ish for Aaron. One swapped in and the other swapped out within a couple of seconds. Amazing.
But yeah, everybody,
good to have you, Ish.
Oh, look at that.
I'm getting feedback. You must be playing the other. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's funny. But guys, it is $5.com Friday for another 10 hours. So drop on in. We've also got our recurring 550.com transfers and our refer a friend deal, which is extremely generous. Still just printing money for you guys who are hustling out there and referring your friends for 50 free transfers. So continue to do that. Yeah, and we're churning out updates by the day here. We've got, what do we got coming down the pipe? So we're looking into this portfolio analyzer that I spoke about. Ish, I just mentioned, we'll soon be able to analyze all the domains in your portfolio at Unstoppable, and then suggest to you various available domains that are in line with some of the themes in your portfolio. Basically, as like a hyper.
Wow, you guys
hyper
move fast.
Personalized.
You were talking
AI
about
suggestion.
the possibility of that a few weeks ago.
Well, we've been working on it for a little while, but
Gotcha.
I was playing coy. But yeah, it's almost, we're beta testing it now with a few of our whales, and collecting some feedback and going to iterate on that. Yeah.
I must
And
say that on the Web3 side, I'm seeing a lot of .x sales and a lot of Web3 sales from Unstoppable lately.
yeah,
Congratulations to
yep.
those guys. Yeah,
People love those .x's,
right.
partially because they're not coming to ICANN. I mentioned this to Aaron, but we announced very publicly that .brave is going to the ICANN GTLD auction
Correct.
next year, and so we made some noise about that. I picked up some .braves myself, and it's yeah, it's unique opportunity to like participate in a pre-sale
Gotcha.
for these TLDs before they actually become ICANN TLDs.
Right.
So quite interesting
Early
opportunity
early
for
land
Web2
grab.
investors. Yeah,
Very early land grab.
it's before
And
the
Brave was a
sunrise
good
period.
one.
It's
Yeah.
before all the the ICANN traditional process kicks in.
Right.
So yeah, it's very unique opportunity for people. Is that something you yourself looked at?
I like Dark Brave. I like the fact that I know that it's. I like the fact that it's going to be a potential Web2 domain extension.
Yeah.
When you think about how many people use the Brave browser, and how native it is to Web3 already, it just makes sense. I also like Dot on Chain. Are they also looking into becoming a ICANN partner, or you can't disclose that?
I'm not sure about that on chain. It's a
Right.
good question.
It'll be a good one
It
for
certainly is a good
Web2.
term.
Right.
Much more generic than .brave. I think .brave is honestly a pretty uh,
Limited.
niche TLD.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the ones that I registered were like all related to the Atlanta Braves, which is like the only connection I could
You have
make
the whole
to
roster.
any commercial viability. I have like I bought all the famous ones. Yeah.
The Hall of Famers and everyone. Interested.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. But
Hey, Brave Braves, close enough. Okay.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the mascot is the Brave,
Okay.
so yeah. Who knows? You got
You do- you
you got to
dom-
work
you're,
with a stretch with some of these.
you're domaining. I don't know what do we call this thing where domainers start stretching their imagination and drawing their own
Wishful
narratives.
thinking is what you
Wishful
call
thinking.
it.
We got to come up with a term.
Yeah,
You know what I
wishful
mean?
domaining,
Wishful domaining,
wishful naming.
domain
Yeah,
manifesting or whatever, right? No.
exactly.
So how was the
I'm
interview?
calling in.
Yeah, I'm channeling it in. How was the
Uh,
conversation with Aaron?
it was good. It was good.
What was the highlight for you?
The highlight for me, I mean, the price tag and just kind of understanding the. I asked him a question. I don't know if I like the answer really satisfied me, but I asked him like, how do you? So obviously, this other domainer is letting the domain go for the exact same price. What does he know, or what do you know, Aaron, that he doesn't? And how because these domainer to domainer trades are curious because someone is losing edge versus an end sale, and this is kind of like an end user sale, and like this is not a wholesale price. It seems much closer to like the end user price than it does to a wholesale price, in my
You mean
opinion.
for agentic AI? Correct. I agree.
Yeah, and so
I
yeah,
was really
I'm just
surprised to learn he paid that much, but then
yeah.
again, it's like um, he must be seeing something that we don't see, and his risk tolerance is much higher.
And to be fair, I mean, of all the good solid agent domains, like that's probably the cheapest you're gonna get. And so if you're trying to get in on that and into like the blue chip agent domain or AI domain territory, like that's probably the cheapest way he could have done it.
Right, right. Did you hear the story about Eddie Sixto, who said he hand registered the name? Did you guys talk
In
about that?
2023,
Right,
which
right.
is crazy.
Yeah, it
I
was
guess
sort
it's
of
not that
like
crazy.
it was kind of emotional listening to him yesterday
Yeah.
The space is like, yeah, I hand register that name, and I sold it for 5,000, and no hard feelings, but here it is going for 120,000. Like
uh,
you could smell the slight regret, no pun intended. But
I
that's
don't
the
blame
that's the
him.
sport we play. Every name that you look at, someone out there
Yeah.
hand registered it. So
But do you think this seller is going to have that same experience in a couple years from now
I
when
think it's a,
if it sells to an end user?
I
That
think
seems far less plausible.
I think you're gonna have possibly a lower ROI, but a higher net gain,
Yeah.
right? So $10 to 5,000. What is that? A 500x, right? And then
Yeah.
5,000 to 120,000 is a 24x or whatever, right? Maybe more.
Hmm.
Yeah, 24x, but the net profit is significantly higher. So even if he does a 2x, is going to be just fine. And I
Yeah.
think that's very possible.
And that's, the it's harder to get those returns on more capital.
Right.
Uh and so that's just a natural
But with the excitement around AI and specifically agentic AI, the sky is the ceiling. But it could also end up being a nothing burger. That's a risk that he's taking.
yeah.
So you always have to, in my opinion, if you're going to spend that much for a name, what is the backup plan if it doesn't equate to what you expected? Like, do you now leverage that as
It's
something that
really
you
hard to
build
see
on?
agents not being a term that we use.
Yeah, but
But who knows?
agentic. Now on the
Yeah.
constructive criticism side, constructive criticism, agentic AI, you could argue that that's sort of like repeating two things, right? Does that make sense what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's redundant.
Yeah, it's a bit redundant. But the search volume is pretty significant. So you would
Yeah.
hope that that could become part of the vocabulary and be more commonly used. But again, it's like there are very few companies that would want to call themselves agentic AI at this point, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you're forced to sort of like build a directory or something that leverages the interest in that in those keywords, or maybe that's what an end user will see the value as. But who knows? I mean, there's agent.ai, which was purchased by a very successful domain investor, who also sold chat.com.
That was
Um,
Dharmesh,
yeah,
right?
Dharmesh. Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to butcher his name, so thanks for that, alley oop. Yeah, so Dharmesh purchased agent.ai, and Fred Sue was the one that sold it to him as well. So it's
Oh
interesting
yeah.
how small this industry is. Like a guy announces a sale, a guy comes up and goes, "I'm the one that registered it. I'm the daddy." You know what I mean? It just shows you how small the domain investing community is at this point.
What's the analog where when your son grows up and then becomes a billionaire and then doesn't include you in the will? That's the equivalent
Right.
of what happened with agentic AI,
I
unfortunately.
don't know if it's that bad. I think
Yeah.
everyone did fine.
I
Yeah.
but I will say, when I read agentic AI sells for over 100K, I was like, what, really? Like, people use agentic AI, like agent something, agent AI, agent anything. I'm like, yes, agent is the buzzword for sure. Even agents, like, whatever.
Right.
Agentic, agentic.com, agentic.ai, okay. Agentic anything else, I'm like, really? I think I'm like, I have to balance like healthy skepticism and like real consolidation around like high quality names, which
Right.
I've learned is like probably where I need to bias towards more in my own minimal domaining, instead of just spray and pray strategy, which far too many new domainers do, while at the same time it's like every week I see a name that goes for, mid five figures, and I'm like, who the hell paid that much money for that domain? And it's like really hard to reconcile those two things. But then you realize like there there's just going to be a ton of these red herrings. There's going to be a ton of these like
Red Herrings,
overpriced
I like
sales of kind of cruddy domains that are going to happen just due to the absolute size of the industry and like how many of these sales come through, and you can't over fixate on those and think that it's going to be representative of like
oh, yeah.
all or even most or even any of your hand regs.
Yeah, it's definitely an abnormally. I just searched agentic AI on keysearch.co. Um, 49,500 monthly searches. Cost per click is about $10. So, the data is there. It's very difficult to
Yeah.
rank. Salesforce is the first URL that shows up. They have an article called "What is Agentic AI?" That is a huge plus for those keywords, right? The fact that Salesforce has "What is Agentic AI?" And then you have NVIDIA going, "What is Agentic AI?" You have all these questions of Agentic AI versus generative AI. Then there's UiPath. There's a Wikipedia article about Agentic AI. So the term agentic AI is becoming very much embedded in culture. And so I think that's a huge plus for that name. But again, I've also realized that this game can be played on different levels, right? He's playing a different game, right? He's playing a different game, which is higher risk, higher reward. And that's usually what it takes.
Yeah.
Most of the names that you see selling for $1 million, or if you look at someone like Braden, who's making phenomenal progress this year. Not that he hasn't always been a great domainer, but I think he's having an exceptional year, right? So Fuse.com for over 2.3 million, or was it 2.1? When you look at their acquisition costs, you go, are you paying that much for that name? But
How much
somebody
did he
else is,
acquire that one for?
I don't think it's been disclosed, but I would imagine it was six figures,
Yeah.
right? So you're playing the six-figure game. Now you can potentially increase the odds of a seven-figure exit.
Yeah.
All things being
Definitely.
equal, right? So
It's
yeah,
just
congrats to
that
Aaron.
that game
It's
is
very
is
ballsy.
very yeah, and it's inaccessible for most people, but
Correct.
it's the more surefire and very low maintenance
That is the
way to play
domain
the game
investing.
too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is the domain investing. So most people want to work their way up there with the hand registration. There's the Bruce Berger theory of you can hand register a name and sell it for $5,000, agentic AI, and you could take that $5,000 and go sell a name for 50 grand. Well, someone skipped that and went straight for the 120, right? And now
Yeah.
they can take that 120, and if they reinvest that into a domain, they can definitely easily get a seven-figure or even an eight-figure exit.
Yeah. Absolutely. So there was one other big sale that happened recently. What was it? Slash.com. Was it for a million
Yeah, that was $1
bucks?
million, correct? You saw that rollout. It was like a movie.
Oh, that's right. It's was it Jack Mahler's company?
I
I
can't
forget.
remember, but I remember looking at the tweet and I was like, wow, this domain announcements are
These
becoming more
domain
pronounced.
announcements, dude, they're crazy.
Well,
They're
you almost
so
have
wild
to.
nowadays.
You almost have to, right? In the 90s, when voice.com, or the 2000s, when these other names were being sold, they didn't have that earned media value opportunity with social media. Now it'll be silly. Like, look at Aaron. Look at the notoriety he's getting from buying a name. Like, that in itself has a value. So for a company, you want eyeballs. You want word of mouth. You want, you know, a
Yeah.
domain acquisition is a big event. It's a lunch. It's a huge announcement. And the crazier the purchase from a layman's perspective, the more viral you get. You're getting free media coverage. I mean, we saw
Yeah.
friend.com do that almost to perfection.
Right. Some other news I saw: GNAME adds 200 more registrations or
Who did?
register accreditations for their drop catching.
Oh,
GNAME.
interesting. Did you hear about Adam becoming a registrar?
I did.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, we expected that. I think there were some rumors around that for a while. But yeah, I mean, Adam certainly has a reputation for being innovative and forward thinking, and like one of the new entrants that people actually appreciate in the space. So we'll be keen to watch them. Um, yeah, I think people will be happy to try them out. Um, you know, what exactly the long term vision for that registrar is, I'm not sure yet. Um, but building on top of what they've already got seems like a decent foundation.
Yeah, it's definitely a different path to becoming an ICANN registrar. Most people will become the registrar first and then open up a marketplace. They went in the other direction, and
Yeah,
you guys are taking a different approach as well from the Web3 thing. So I think the domain industry is so vast and so exciting at this point. There's so much opportunity, and I think a lot of competition, but there's enough for everyone. I have an abundance mindset. I think you know, it all ends up being good for the end users, right? Something like $5 Friday is becoming part of the culture. That's good for people that are acquiring names and leveraging that. Other features will appeal to other people in different platforms outside of just aesthetics. Aesthetics is no longer going to be a meaningful gimmick. There has to be some sort of like meaningful value being provided by registrars. I think you guys are doing a great job with that.
yeah, definitely. And on that note, I wanted to share. I shared this with Aaron, but it's worth showing you too. So yesterday, I was playing around with a custom GPT API connection to Unstoppable. So you can
Hmm.
basically grab availability data and and pricing from our API, all from a ChatGPT interface. So I type in Halle Berry or whatever. Don't ask why, and it returns like all the information that you expect from like the search results page of any registrar. So which
Okay.
ones are unavailable and the pricing of the available ones. But then it also
I like
slaps
I
in
like
some.
Halle Berry fun. No pun intended, but
Yeah, right. Uh, got to get HalleBerryArmpits.com
oh, chill
for
out,
you.
bro.
um,
Why can't we just say Halle Berry art? Okay.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Sex sells. You gotta play the game.
I didn't even use
But
that
then
word. Go ahead.
it also it tacks on some suggestions. So there's like some misspellings that you could look up, and it's like, oh, do you want me to look up those instead? And then down here while I was looking up, oh yeah, I look up agentic AI, so it looks up which ones are available, and it again suggests some different ones.
Nice.
And you can do all of these, and you can say, yeah, okay, go ahead and look those up instead. Um, and so it offers like a different interface that's much more natural to use. Obviously, it's very clunky, but you imagine connecting to name bio data, to .db data, to SEMrush data, and suddenly you have a very comprehensive
Tool.
tool to be able to look up all these various data points and also just converse with something
Right.
and have it reason about it, or Grok can pull in the latest tweets on a name or a trend, and you have a very you have a wide-reaching yet grounded tool to be able to discuss these kinds of decisions with.
No, I think it's amazing. I use O3 on
Uh-huh.
OpenAI. That's their most advanced reason model, and it's just really, really been very, very exciting.
Yeah.
How that tool approaches domain appraisals and valuation. Um, I'm somewhat oblivious to the numbers because numbers are subjective, as we can tell. Agentic AI is the best example. Someone's 5,000 is somebody else's 120,000, right? But
Yeah.
just the other talking points and the ideas that it spins off. I don't know if I can share my screen, but or if you have O3, but O3 is so advanced when it comes to just basic research for domain names. I have it so um, I use it so much now. I just put in a name and it knows what I'm thinking. Oh, you want to get valuation, and then I fine tune it. I go, don't send me it. Don't give me any comps that aren't validated or without a source. So it just becomes better and better. And I really like it. It gives you a wholesale value. It gives you potential outbound prospects like very detailed insights that you go, well, okay, wow, this is a good name. And
Yeah.
even now, before I hand register names, and this is for people that might be taking advantage of $5.com Fridays, you can even plug it into AI and it'll tell you, ask it, is this a name worth registering? And what do you think I can sell it for? O3 is really good with that. Or you plug in a bunch of names and it'll be like, drop this one, hurry up and register that one.
Yeah. It's really comprehensive. This deep research on a lot of these different LLMs, and it
Yep.
really lowers the barrier to entry to like thinking about any hard problem. Because I can just that's like the first thing I do, and it's like hard to imagine that we would Google around for things, and just think about things from first principles rather than
We were
outsourcing our
digital
thinking.
cavemen. Yeah. We're
It's
digital
it's like
cavemen, right?
it's hard to imagine going back. Like you would, oh my god, I would give an arm and a leg to if someone tried to take away Perplexity from me now.
Google is so now it just feels sort of outdated, right?
Yeah,
And it's almost like a forced narrative. You got to go through this a bunch of minds to get to the goal. You know what I mean? Like all the sponsored posts and all the engineered output with SEO and things like that. I just think with AI, you're able to just have a dynamic search experience, right? You can say, okay, tell me more, expand on this, create a report, give me a CSV. I'm just like I spent hours weekly just doing research, and I enjoy it because it's always like, okay, what am I going to learn today? And I think AI just it's like a much better product.
yeah,
Even with Google, when I use Google now, I look for the AI overview.
yeah, yeah. I used to not trust that AI overview at Google, but it's gotten a lot better.
It's getting better, yo. It was really
They're
bad before.
yeah, Google's looking like they're pivoting full force towards it. For obvious reasons, they were reluctant at first, but once they add some agent capabilities into Excel, into Gmail, into Android phones, like it's Google's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
What do you think about the VO thing they dropped with the video, the
I
prompts?
I don't pay too much attention to the video stuff. I mean, I will say like all the video, like did you see the fake interviews of like AI people and they're like,
Yeah,
have you
what
heard the
prompts?
conspiracy that we're all that we're all like AI generated?
Pretty
That's
brilliant.
bullshit. Yeah. uh and
You
then
could
and
have
then you and then
prompted me to be a billionaire.
and then you think about it for like half a second and you're like, oh my god, we're definitely in a simulation.
Yeah, but
Like,
maybe
you
God is the master
immediate
prompter, right? You,
existential dread. But God is just some kid in his basement on ChatGPT. Like that
I
then
admit
you
it to you.
realize all that. Sorry everyone whose world just got shattered out there. But that's why you tune into this podcast for
Oh,
insights
please,
like that.
I had no comment. So, have you been building anything with AI lately?
No. That's not my job generally.
Right.
But I'm excited to play around with this API connection into ChatGPT more. I think
Interesting.
there's an excellent experience that could be built there. So, yeah, no, I mean, in terms of like spinning websites up, it's just, I don't do enough domaining and have any interest in site development to do that really.
Now, I was going to say that I use Bolt.new, and it's literally like 10 times better than what
Oh,
it
it's gotten
was
better recently.
2 months ago. Yeah, so much better.
Wow.
They're adding more tools. You can now just directly copy and paste an image instead of having to go through a third party hosting site. Like, it's just becoming more and more intuitive, and the sites are looking better and better every day. So I'm
Nice.
excited about it.
I'll have to check back in then. And they were disappointingly poor when I tried
Oh,
long ago.
it's much better. It's much better.
We got some domains in the chat here to analyze. So we've got cryptologist.ai and cryptology. Oh, he's saying cryptology.io is someone else. Cryptologist AI. I think that's
.ai.
I think that's too marginal. I don't know what a cryptologist is.
Cryptologist AI.ai. Are you kidding me right now? I
No,
mean,
no, no. It's not AI.ai. It's just cryptologist.ai. But still, that's a rough name. I don't know. I don't see anyone using that term anywhere.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody used it either, as well. I don't know if cryptologist is an actual word. I can always easily search.
Yeah,
But even if it is,
cryptographer would be a different story. That's like the actual
yeah, it
term
could
for
be. It
anyone that
sounds
does
more
anything
like,
like that.
oh, it's actually a word. If I'm a cryptologist is an expert in cryptology, but this is the AI overview, so we don't know
What's cryptology?
crypt cryptology,
The art
which is
of
which is the
writing and
study of
solving
secret codes and
codes.
ciphers. They're skilled in creating and analyzing codes. You sound like a cryptologist to me, bro. Like, I think it's a good one. It's not that bad. I wouldn't knock it. I think
It's
it's an
it's like
English dictionary
astrology
word.
versus astronomy. It's like
Yeah, close but
it's
different, right?
close but very different. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard cryptology ever
No, it's
used,
it's it's
honestly.
actually it means an expert in the study of codes, secret systems of words and numbers.
I
So
guess, but
cryptologist.ai sounds like a good one. Yeah, I think it's a good end registration. I don't know. Um, I have no idea what it's worth.
yeah,
Obviously, you would have to do your own research, but I think they kind of like got a good one. The codes and AI are very closely related. Studying codes and deciphering codes, and
sure.
AI plays a good role in that. And yeah, I think it's a good one.
Okay. What about the BTC.club?
The BTC.club.
I mean,
Subpar.
for club names, it's not terrible.
Be careful,
The
man. I was a
BTC
poster
Club.
child for .club,
That's
and I
right.
took a lot of beating for it. But the BTC.club, it's an okay name. It's not worthless in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are a lot of people that are interested in BTC. There are a lot of applications for BTC. Everyone knows what BTC means. What's wrong with that name is just the before BTC. Sort
Drop
of,
the. It's cleaner, dude.
yeah, no shit. But BTC.club is clearly a grill. The BTC, it's okay. You could probably get about 1,000 or 2,000 for it if you're
Yeah.
lucky. Mhm.
Loanqualifier.com. That's a solid name.
It's not bad at all.
That's not, exactly the search terms that people will put in for get qualified for a loan. I'm sure there's other more popular ways to phrase that, but
But it's
not
descriptive.
bad.
It's
Yeah, it
descriptive.
it people know exactly what you're talking about with that name.
Yeah.
Mealrequest.com. I don't know when you request a meal.
Mealrequest.com. Some people are picky eaters,
That
vegans.
sounds like an ESL problem for like meal delivery or meal ordering.
Yeah,
Like
meal
thinking that
requests.
request is like how Westerners would phrase that when it's not at all. That's
Well,
one you got to run through ChatGPT first and make sure you're not, totally off the mark with your assumptions of which words are synonyms in English.
let's see what happens when we search meal requests on Google. That's usually how I can
Yeah.
tell if a meal request. Oh yeah, a meal request can refer to several different types of requests. Special in-flight meals like on the plane. Meal requests.
Mm,
Nut allergies. People at events. People that have certain religious restrictions when it comes to food. A meal request form. You know.
I
Um,
see. Yeah, I see a bunch of airlines. I don't know how
yeah,
you make a business out of that.
special meal
If
request for a flight.
if
You know
the
that because
if the airlines all have monopolies on delivering these things, who knows? Meal requests.
mealrequest.com is not a bad name. It's not a bad name. It's very niche. Um, I think you could build something with that. I think you can. I can see that turning into, you know, a big thing. People knowing every restaurant you go to, they ask you, "Do you have any allergies or whatever?"
Mm-hmm.
So meal request could be somewhat sort of like a restaurant discovery platform. I'm looking for gluten free, a gluten free dinner, and then it will probably connect you with restaurants that can accommodate that. Good luck with that one. It's not a bad name at all. I just
Yeah.
don't know what I would price that at. I'm learning to be more lenient with names because, like you
Yeah,
said,
you
you see
ish.
certain
I
names and you're
expect you to
like,
roast these guys, but
no,
you turn the
these
other
are.
cheek
I
apparently.
think people are just getting better. I think people are getting better. I think the tough love is working. They know not to come in with no bullshit.
They got roasted the first couple of times, and now they're a little more hesitant.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, I got something better for them. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
fair
Let's see. I'm
enough.
sure there's some bullshit. Give me some bullshit so I can roast somebody. I'm not
This
leaving here
next one's
without.
good. 10xconversion.com. That's a good name.
I don't know about that. How was a
I
10x
mean,
spelled? Is it 10x?
10x conversion.
I sold 10xwealth.com for 5 grand, and I think I undersold it.
Mm,
Um, the number 10x is good, very well known.
yeah.
10x conversion sounds like something technical. Conversion is a bit long, but it has meaning, so it's not a bad name.
Conversion has a lot of meaning in
Mhm.
sales.
Yeah, 10x
I think
conversion,
that's a
bro.
decent name. You could get a couple grand for that, easy.
Good luck.
If you're doing the outbounding, if you're putting in the work. Yeah, that's
Sounds like
all we
something.
got.
Sounds like something a coach will use. You know, like a sales
Mm,
coach or a marketing
yeah.
coach. You know, 10x
No,
conversion.
it's a good brand. You can
10x. Yeah.
have a newsletter, an educational program around sales around that easily. Yeah, that sounds solid.
10x
Uh,
conversion on your ad spend. 10x
yeah,
conversion on your whatever. Yeah. 10x is well recognized. That's the right number. If you have some random number like 8x or whatever, then it will be like, what are you doing? 10x has been embedded in culture by people like Grant Cardone.
yeah. We've got tinyhouse.homes. I think that's too many houses or homes. You got to
Yeah,
pick one. Tiny
tiny
homes,
houses,
tiny.homes. That's golden.
tiny houses dot homes. Um, the dot homes is a no for me. Um, tinyhouses.org would have been better, even though it's not the best. Or
Yeah,
even .net, I'll prefer. I know the .com is probably not available.
yeah,
It's redundant, and
yeah,
.homes, houses and homes in the same domain name is a bit too much.
yeah. We got lucidagentic.com.
Sounds cool. No one knows what it means
Yeah.
unless it has some sort of technical meaning behind it. But lucidagentic.com.
Uh-huh. I mean, lucid is related to cognition. Lucid means you're thinking straight.
Right, I get it.
Agentic, yeah, lucid agent would be probably
An agent
worth
that doesn't
10x.
hallucinate.
Yeah. Good luck with that one. Lucid lucid agent would be, yeah, worth 10x that. But
Agentic is a
lucid
tough word.
agentic is two adjectives in a row. Like that's you're gonna have a hard time with that one. It doesn't have a nice conclusion. Lucid agent, you got an adjective and a noun. They go together perfectly. Two adjectives in a row. It's like ending your question with upward inflection. It's like there's no resolution to what you're saying. There's no finality to having two adjectives in your domain.
So
Uh,
it actually worked under AI overview. AI overview just be coming up with shit. It says lucid agentic combines the concept of lucid dreaming and agentic AI. In the context of AI, agentic refers to an agent that has the ability to act independently and achieve outcomes on its own. Lucid in this context, like in the context of lucid dreaming, implies a state of clear and conscious awareness. Combining these two ideas suggests an AI agent that is not only capable of independent action, but also has a clear understanding of its goals and actions. Much like a lucid dreamer is aware of their dream state and can exert some control over
Yeah, I don't think it's that deep. I mean, Lucid Motors is a big
it.
electric car company, and that has, I guess, that has something like they have some self-driving feature or something. But Lucid is just a nice word, and I think it's a great brandable like term by itself. Lucid, Lucid Agent would be awesome. Lucid Agentic, I think, is just a step too far. But Domain of Things, we appreciate you stepping into the wood chipper.
I think it's
putting your
actually
neck on the
cool.
line.
There's Lucid Works, the 4 levels of agentic AI. You might find some companies.
Yeah,
Lucid Agents has been used quite a bit though.
I just, this could be one of those ones where I look back and I'm like, how the fuck did that sell for $5,000 in a year? And don't listen to me because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Hey, if someone told me to bet that agentic AI would sell for $120,000, I would have taken the under.
Yeah.
I'll be the first.
Let me look up some agentic sales here. That's definitely the biggest agentic. The next highest agentic,
but it's the agentic. It's the agentic keyword, keyword combination. Agentic AI. That is, if money wasn't an issue, that's the one you want.
I suppose, yeah. Agentix.io went for $10,000 and earlier this year. AgenticComp.com $10,000. Agentic Networks for $10,000 this year. Intel Agentic $10,000 for this year. Those are all suspiciously close together in price too. Agentic Layer.
They're all being sold by a gentleman named Luke.
Oh yeah.
He hand registered a ton of agentic names.
AgenticTesting.com, Agentic World. So who knows? I mean, if I'm comparing all of those to Lucid Agentic, obviously Agentic comes first there in all of these examples. And that makes sense as the adjective to come first. So Lucid Agentic also has the order swapped if you're looking at these comps. So anyways, something to chew on.
It's a hold. I'll definitely keep that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a $10 renewal. That's for sure. Adam's got gluecode.com.
Spell it.
Glue as in, sticky substance that you patch things together with. GLUE code.com.
Glue code, CODE or code?
Code.
Gluecode.com. Yeah, it sounds like an Adam word.
In the tech world, if you're gluing code together, it's generally a bad thing. It sounds, like Band-Aid solutions. So there's that. There's like a slight negative connotation attached to gluing any code. But gooey liquefied code also has a nice.
So glue code is a good one because there's aesthetic. A gluecode.ai in existence.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a glue code. What is meant by glue code is a common term, like you said, allows components to interoperate that otherwise are incompatible. There's glue code software. I'm learning new stuff here. It's in Wikipedia.
I actually didn't know it was an actual term. I mean, like people say glue it together, but it like has its own Wikipedia page, glue code.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that more than that's another one of these where you don't know it's a term until you look it up.
Yeah, we're learning not to go by the surface appearance and diving a little deeper.
Yeah.
But we know the horrible ones. I think the worst one we've had, no disrespect to whoever sent it, was the tiny houses.homes. Tiny house.homes. Yeah, I think
at least today.
There's plenty of room. Yeah, plenty of room for improvement there. And the rest of them have been .coms and .ai. So obviously they're more desired by end users. I don't know too many .homes that have been great investments.
Yeah. Agentfi.ai. Agentfi being FY. That's a stretch, I think.
It's a waste of money.
If I agentify, maybe. Since that's at least a pattern that other people use, but Agentfi, it also doesn't pass the radio test because Agentfi sounds like Agent Finance, FI, and not FY.
Do you have any agent names? Come on.
I don't actually.
Fess up. I know you have some.
This is all me. I'm just poo-pooing these agent names because I can't talk my own bag. My homework is to go buy some agent names, and then next week I'll have a whole different tune I'm singing.
Okay, I'm going to tell you some of my agent names. I think I have some that I can comfortably share. I have let's see, some of these are bad. I have AIagentsinc.com.
Ish, give us your
INC.com.
worst. Come on,
My
fess up.
worst. I think I've dropped it.
You get to roast everyone else. It's time to
Time for
hear.
me to roast
It's time to
myself.
let everyone else in the chat roast
Honestly,
you for
my,
your
my
worst.
worst my worst names are usually names that are like misspellings, and I usually pick on them,
Yeah.
discover them, and I get a refund. But I think if we're talking about agents, I'm looking through the list. The worst agent name that I think I have is Agenticel. I'm sorry, Agenticel. And so I ran that through O3 the other day. I was like, should I drop this name?
Clearly.
And it said, no, hold on. It said Agenticel could mean agentic enterprise layer. And I was like, that's what I was thinking. So I don't know. It kind of like made me feel better about that one. Agentic enterprise
layer. Oh, it's
Yeah.
CEL,
API. Yeah. CEO.
not
Correct.
CELL.
No. I'm
Okay.
better than that. I'm better than that. Even in my worst days, I'm better than that. But
I think now it might be better.
Yeah, it might be better. It's actually.
It depends where you put the capitalization. Honestly,
I have I have some other bad ones. I have well I don't think this one is that bad, but I also have SME agentics, like small medium enterprise agentics. I guess that is not that bad. I have DFY agentics, like done for you agentics. I don't know, the S is bad. And then I think I have warmagents.com. I looked that up, it means something. I have AI
Warm?
agent lease. Yeah, warm agents.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it with the agents. I have 31 agent names. None of them have sold.
I'm a
I have
much bigger
sales. I
fan
have
of agent than agentic.
agentic. Likewise, I have salesagents.io.
That's solid.
I have AI
Super
agent
solid.
summit.com.
Are
I
you
have
worried about IO names
I think
since AI is
salesagents.io
stealing
will
their
be
market
fine.
share?
I think salesagents.io will be fine. It's descriptive. Salesagents.ai is in use. Sales agents, I can see AI spinning off into that.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait.
I think agentic, like the reach into agentic is probably just a function of how serious the hype around agent and
Agents.
AI is.
Agents is
and
the word.
and people are extremely late, and so they're like, we got to come up with a new term.
Yeah. We missed the boat.
so that we can convince ourselves that we haven't missed the boat fully when they actually have.
Yep.
I don't know. Can you compare that to? I'm sure what blockchain, probably the most recent hype cycle in tech that that went through a similar phase.
Oh,
and
Meta.
maybe you.
Meta was another keyword that did that. NFTs did that.
But okay, so the keyword in the blockchain hype cycle would have been crypto or chain or token.
I think it was NFT.
NFT.
Yeah, NFT was the one word that a lot of domainers. I mean, I'm dropping NFT names all the time, every month now, because I don't think those names are coming back from the dead, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember when I first started domaining, I bought a bunch of them, like a ton of them, and there was a lot of speculation around those words, and then NFT.com sold for $15 million, and that just made that whole trend like take off like a wildfire. But most of those names are meaningless right now.
Yeah. And similarly, so I feel like maybe on chain might be that the equivalent of agentic. I do think on chain makes a lot of sense. Coinbase has shown a lot of studies that show that on chain lands really well with consumers versus blockchain, crypto, all these other terms. but it does have a tinge of being like this last grasp trying to force a narrative and like weasel your way in when you're already late. But at the same time, like, you know, it's gonna look like that in a lot of different scenarios. Like it always looks non-consensus if it's an actually good trade. So
I think the key thing
who
is
knows?
just people always have to think about who's the end user and what's the use case for a name.
Yeah.
I know I've said that many times. So even with on-chain, I have a few on-chain names, but I try to make them. I try to keep it to practical names. Some of the on-chain names that I see, I'm like, that doesn't even go with on-chain. Like, what are you talking about? Like, on-chain water, huh? Like, what is that? You know, on-chain this.
We need to democratize water.
Yeah, I'll put it on the blockchain. You know, I don't get it, but you know, people just slap on chain on top of anything. So yeah, we definitely got to be careful with the domain or echo chamber. I think agentic has a chance, but I don't think everything goes with agentic. Like one of the names I was looking at that I have, I looked at myself and discussed like, why did I register that? But agentic hackathons, no, agentichacks.com, right? That could be a thing, you know. It could be a thing. I don't know, but we're just merely speculating. You know, $5.
All speculation here, all the time. That's all we do. Anyways, guys, thanks for dropping your names in there. Hope you got some decent feedback from us as usual. Drop in for $5.com Fridays at Unstoppable, or get your 550.com transfers in, or refer your friends for 53.com transfers. Do whatever. We've got some options, so just try us out, please, so I can stop shilling. Anyways, guys, thank you for joining us. This was a fun episode. Thanks for coming back on, Ish. Oh, did you have success in your meeting? Did it go well?
Yeah, it was good progress. Good progress. We just gotta wait. You know,
yeah.
Can't axe them down,
jump the gun.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, I'm just glad that
Paul
he took
Bunyan
the meeting.
over here.
Yeah, I'm glad he took the
Ish
meeting.
Bunyan.
So.
All right.
Soon, brother. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye, guys. Happy Friday.